The World Wide Web is a host of all manners of activities, both good and bad. For the latter, it's kind of hard for many people to comprehend. But yeah, things have gone south, and the authorities can't do much to help. I spend most of my Sunday afternoons watching real-life stories on YouTube, and on this particular Sunday, I stumbled upon an interesting website, the dark web. The name of the site caught my attention, and I decided to dig in a little before going back to my normal routine. And with a little research, I felt like the world was crumbling under my feet. The dark web is a site made of lazy and greedy minds who hack into people's computers and companies to steal sensitive information. The information is then sold to other scam artists at ridiculously low prices. For example, your driver's license can go for a mere $20, and your social security number for $1. Worse still is that for only $30, all of your personal information, including your birth date and account numbers, will be given away. In the dark web, nothing is impossible, meaning that even your most private information can be retrieved and sold. Things like your college diploma and your passport will even have a price range of between $100 and $400. These can even shoot up to $1,000 and $2,000. What I discovered is that if somebody wants to mess up your life, they wouldn't need to put a lot of effort, because with the existence of the dark web, anyone is able to acquire your personal information and access your health and bank records. Teen pandemic, many businesses closed up shop and sent their employees to work from home. Daytime break-ins reduced significantly, and not many people knew that the fraudsters would use COVID-19 to siphon personal information from unsuspecting citizens. I was the victim of scammers and only got to realize later that I'd given up my personal information to fraudsters. What I got to realize is that the individuals are very smart and know the kinds of questions that will give them the information they need. One of them called my line and made some false claim about my credit card. So as any other person, I was alarmed and concerned, at which point I would do anything to stop my credit card from being used for fraud. Little did I know that at this moment of panic is when most of my personal information concerning the credit card was collected. I also realized later that the scammers were mostly interested in information about my social security number and credit card numbers. So what many people don't know is that they have identified a potential market in the older individuals. I remember my dad receiving a call and the person on the other end repeated most of his personal information to gain his trust. The trick, however, failed because the fraudster was trying to make him believe that I was in trouble and needed help. The awareness that most of your personal information is on a website somewhere, whether you subscribed or gave it up for official use, is enough motivation for anyone to take the necessary measures in safeguarding their private information. To be on the safe side, people have to desist from giving up their personal information to the different websites and be careful on the web pages that they access. According to the BBC, the prevalence of pedophilia was put at 5% for the men and 0.4 to 4% in women. While how true these numbers are remain a subject for discussion, given that most of the new cases are rarely reported. Child pornography, on the other hand, has risen with the use of the internet. I remember coming across the image of a child who had been sexually abused and who had also been reported missing. According to Thorne, child pornography is so prevalent with over 480,769 images released weekly involving children in sexually explicit activities. The sick, perverted individuals will therefore release videos of children who have been sexually abused and tortured and then distribute them in the social networking platforms for personal consumption. What's worse is that the images are not computer generated. Rather, events actually taking place in an actual crime scene. And from what I've heard from friends, is that there are also certain websites where people pay to watch young children being sexually abused through a video streaming service. Child pornography only seeks to encourage the vice in real life. The consumers of this content are the ones who later attack their kids' neighbors, nieces, and nephews. And to add salt to the injury, it's been established that the United States is the largest producer and consumer of child abuse content, which we all know is one of the most horrific forms of abuse that could ever be inflicted on a child. Never in my entire life did I know that I will ever have to see someone being tortured or torturing themselves in a live video. Unknown to me is that in the deep web, such occurrences are a common thing. So curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to search the deep web for such a resource to see if it's actually true or just a clip out of a horror movie. Surprisingly, what seemed like a prank turned into a live horror movie that I've been trying to unsee for the past 2 years. I therefore joined the live stream and was curious to find out what this girl sitting on a chair was all about. And unlike most live streams where people would send in questions, this particular weird girl asked people to give her ideas of the types of abuse that she could do to herself. I guess everyone thought that she was joking until she began mutilating parts of her body. What's surprising is that there was nothing too hard for her to do, right from gouging her eyes out to bruising and cutting herself. And the worst part of it was that all the viewers in the live stream saw how the girl was killing herself. The sad part of all of this is that it's just one among many of the cases in the deep web where people intentionally bring harm to themselves while streaming live. I mean, how creepy does this world have to get? The live streams go by the name Red Rooms, and word on the street is that the high number of viewers has made the site likable by members of ISIS, who are now using the platform to kill and behead people. The above then raises the question, is the internet a necessary evil? China and Vietnam are animal torture hotspots, and some of the information that I've been able to read was how dogs and cats are slaughtered, and the bears captured and caged for their bile. Well, they remain stories until you see a live video of someone actually exposing these pets or animals to the same. As I perused the internet streets, I again stumbled on the dark web and thought that experiencing something from a narrative point would spare my conscience, but I again was terribly wrong. I had heard stories and warnings of the dark web, and never did I make it a point of visiting this pit of hell. But being human, I had in one way or another had to try to at least find out what goes on in there. From the time I clicked on this person's story, which I'd braced myself for the worst, and the first thing that came to the screen was the image of a cat, which seemed like it had been beaten senseless. Its legs had been tied, and the narrator explains that the title, Kitty Cat, was a subtle way to lure unsuspecting individuals to watching the gruesome live torture and murder of a kitten. The narrator explains that the kitten's bound legs were crushed by a woman wearing red stiletto heels, and she kept pounding on it with the heels as the kitten let out desperate cries in pain. And to make it worse was that the blood kept gushing out, making a puddle that didn't deter her from her killing mission.